Hello and welcome to this demonstration of the Marquis Postflux application. And I'll just give you a quick guide of some of the main features that we have within Postflux. Now, first off, we'll log into the system. The application has a client-server architecture where there's a background server running the Postflux system itself, and all actions and logons are done through web pages. So first off, let me just log in. And now we can see the homepage for the Postflux system. And the first thing it's showing us is the current set of places that we have configured. And these are the sources and destinations that we'll be working with. Primarily, the places that we're looking at are locations where we find project files. And we currently support Premiere Pro project and After Effects projects. And also the destinations of where we'll be putting those when we finish working with them, be that for archives. So we have some network connections here to disk storage and cloud storage. Then we also have the option of writing the projects out as a transfer, so we can externalize them for use in other systems and have a USB transfer target configured here. And we'll come back to that a bit later on. But first off, I'll add a new location. So in this case, I have some projects saved here. So I'll just take that path. I'll come back and I'll add a new place. Now, if I add a global place, this will become visible to any users that are logged into the system. If I add a private one, it will just be this user account's use. We'll go for global. And we'll set the place type. In this case, we're looking for a disk connection, and I'll be looking for Premiere Pro projects within that location. I'll put the path in, and we'll add a description in. And we'll save that. And now we have my new project location. And if I click on that, we'll actually navigate into that folder and we'll show you the contents of that folder structure. So we have a few extra folders, and within these we'll start to find some project files. Now when we find a project file we want to work with, we'll allow you then to put the controls in of what we then want to do with that project. Now the first thing we'll always do in any step is analyze the project file. This is where we'll look into the project file and find all of the references to the media files that are used by that project. So if I just do an analysis, the first thing I can do is just generate a report from that file. Now I can build extra steps. But first off, let's just do a report, and we'll get it to happen immediately. That sends the job off to the background server, and it will do the actions and then feed the status back to me. If it was a larger project, we'd see the activity panel showing the details of the processing. In this case, that was really small. So actually, I've seen a message come back to me already, which is the analysis results from that project. And we can see it's only a small project, but with 47 files. There are none that we can't find. If we couldn't find any media files, at this point, we'd be warning you and giving the details of the files we couldn't find. And that might be down to the drives we have mapped on the computer, or just the locations that have been given. We'll give you that information so you can go off and resolve the situation. In this case, everything was fine. So if I want to go back and actually archive that project, then I can go through and retrace those steps, but now add the extra actions that I'm going to carry out. So we'll analyze the project again, but now we'll go through and we'll do an archive. And in this action, we'll read through the project files again, find the media files. In this case, we'll copy them and create a project archive in that location. So the next step, we'll decide where we're going to send it to. Now I have some network disk locations configured. I also have a cloud location configured. So in this case, we'll go to the cloud and send it up to AWS. And we'll already see the structures that we have inside the AWS. And I have a folder within my bucket for Premiere Pro projects. So I'll put it into there. We could put an extra subdirectory in and build a folder structure. In this case, we'll go to the root. So when we're doing the archive, we're going to take the media files and the project files. And the project files will all be given a version name, which is by default a timestamp. So every time we do an archive process, we'll take an extra version of the project files. Obviously, we're putting in new media files. We'll always take a new version of the project file. And then we can choose what we do after we complete. And by default, we'll always do a verification, do a checksum calculation and comparison to make sure everything has succeeded. And in the case of the AWS, we'll use the checksums that are calculated via the AWS system, so we don't have to read back the files to generate our own checksums. And we can choose to have this happen either immediately or schedule it to happen at a regular time or a set time. this case, we'll do it immediately, and I'll submit it. The job now gets passed through into the activity panel, and we'll start to see the progress of the files as they're being uploaded to AWS. Once that job is completed, the details will go from the activity panel, and a new message will come through into my messages detailing what's happened. So now we can see there's a new message come through, which is showing the 3 stages of the transfer: the analysis, the archive, and the verification. So we can see the analysis of the files, we can see the archive details, and the verification details. As soon as that has completed, then we'll be able to go back and look in the place where we've sent it, and we'll see the details of that project. So I have my new project in the archive, and we'll see that timestamped version for the project files themselves. If I do the transfer again, then obviously we'll only put in new media files, but we'll take another version of the project files. When we come to want to restore the project, it's just a question of finding the project to restore, choosing the restore option, and then detailing where we'll bring everything back to. In this case, we can come back to the original location or to a different location. If we come back to the original location, then we'll actually go through and check the media files to see whether they're still in their original locations, in which case we won't copy them again. If you want us to automatically consolidate everything down at the point of restore and bring it into a new location, then we just choose the option, in which case we'll copy everything back. And again, these actions can be set to happen immediately or be scheduled to happen at a point in the future. Now, those demonstrations that I've done were with Premiere Pro projects. We can do everything the same for After Effects projects, and it follows exactly the same principle. We'd find the project files we want to work with, and then build up the steps to go through the process. From a user point of view, it's exactly the same process as it was for Premiere. Now, the other option we had was the transfer option. Now, this allows us to go through the same basic processes, but rather than creating an archive or version to archive in our chosen destination, we can use it to actually transfer the files and consolidate it to a new location. And we'll actually make that an editable project in that new location. So we'd do that by coming through, finding our project files. And if I go for the same project again, we'll now go through, and instead of choosing the archive, we'll choose transfer. In this case, we'll now pick my USB transfer target, and this is just a USB drive that's mounted into the server where Postflux is running. We make it available to everyone, and I can go through and put my project into this location. Now, this action will take the project file and the media file and copy them into that location, consolidating everything down into that one folder location. But in doing so, we'll also update the project file to reference the media in that new location. So it will actually be editable directly from the content that is on this USB drive. Basic actions are still the same for the user. They've chosen the destination. They choose when they want it to happen. Again, we'll go for immediately. And that will go off and copy the content onto the drive. If I actually look at that drive, then we'll see the files coming across. So we have the project file, and we have those media files. So we've tracked the locations where they came from on the source, but they're now all within a single location, and the project file will actually reference this folder and the content inside this folder. So if we open this project on a different machine, it will immediately link to the media inside this folder. There's no need to go through a relink process within Premiere. And that process is very useful for transferring projects and giving you that editable copy in a different location. And any disk-based location can be chosen for that progress. You could even choose a location that's being managed by Dropbox, for example, and have that automatically sync everything across to another logged on user. So that's a quick overview of how we use Postflux to manage your Adobe projects for both Premiere Pro and After Effects, going through both the archive and restore functions, the versioning we do for the archives over time, and also the transfer for externalizing projects for use in different systems. Thank you.